Hi, this is Selekane. Well, the fascinating thing about many people, as you know, we're teaching entrepreneurship, digital business, personal branding, public speaking, leadership, and wealth creation. Now, many of you are either aspirant entrepreneurs, you want to become an entrepreneur, or you already started your own business. Now, I'm going to debunk this myth because some of you think, being a businessman is wearing, what do you call these socks? Happy socks and having a laptop and sitting in a coffee shop and drinking coffee. You think, I'm an entrepreneur. Well, I've got news for you. You're not really an entrepreneur. Because I believe that a great entrepreneur is someone that finds a need in society and fulfills that need, and the consequence of the fulfillment of that need becomes profitable. However, you don't just start with a product or an idea. You've got to understand the concept of how business works. Now, I've had the honor and the privilege of working around the world in over 35, 36, 37 countries. I've lost count, and I've worked with small businessmen, one-man show, up to Fortune 500 companies. Now, there's a very powerful concept which was created many years ago that still sounds true up to today. And that concept is called the Z factor. Now, I'm going to share with you what this concept really entails. Now, the Z factor gives you a complete breakdown of what every business needs to become successful. Now, there are 4 components to any business, either a product-based business or a service-based business, or even if you have an app, you still have to be part of the Z factor. You still have to fulfill the Z factor. Now, I'm going to share with you what each block contains. The first block here is people. Every business needs people, both internal and externally. It might be one of you today, tomorrow you need 2 or 3 or 4, but every business operates on the basis of people unless you're totally automated. By the way, even if you are totally automated, you still need somebody to code that automation. The first one is people. The second one is processes. So naturally, people drive what? Processes. Now, I'm going to go deeper in all of this. I'm going to go to the third one. So people drive processes to attract what you call clients or customers, whatever language that you use. And once you've got customers, what then do? You start making the money. So I'm going to take you to the Z factor says you can never make money unless you've got clients and you've got very powerful processes and you've got great people that are running those processes. Now, wherever you are at the moment, you've got to ask yourself, do I have the right kind of people driving the right kind of processes? Do I have the right kind of clients to bring me the right kind of money? Now, let's go to people. Now, for me, as far as people are concerned, here's a very fundamental thing that you've got to consider before you hire somebody. You've got to do this thing called culture fit. Now, what is culture fit? Well, culture fit says whoever that you want to hire in your business, before you look at their technical ability or their technical knowledge, you've got to ask yourself this one profound question: are they a cultural fit? Now, I'm talking at a very simplistic level because the word culture means the way that you do things, the way that we do things around here. Now, your business, when it starts, it runs around your own personal culture. Now, culture is reflective in time, in the time we start or finish things, in how we service our customers, how we treat each other in the business, what kind of values do we have that become the foundation through which we measure or gauge our behavior. So it's important that you find people that fit your culture. If you don't find people that fit your culture, those people must be willing to buy onto your culture, otherwise they're going to be a cultural misfit and they're going to create problems for you. And the second one is around processes. Now, processes, you can either automate or process map to make sure that when you do automation, already your processes are clearly decided and defined. Now, what do I mean by processes? I'm going to take a very simple thing. I'm going to say every business has an entry and an exit. So, what is it that people want from you? And what is it that they get out? So that's your entry and your exit. Now, in the middle of this entry and exit, there's a process. And that process has to be clearly defined. Now, I find that a lot of small businesses have an amazing product. People love the product, but they don't deliver on time. Some people have got a great product, but they've got a lot of default products in their pipeline. Why? It's because they have not clearly defined their processes. Now, this is big consulting speak. However, you can go online and Google process maps. You'll find a lot of software. One of the most famous software is Visio. Visio will help you to define your processes so that you can define your entry and your exit. And your entry, either when somebody calls or when you go and pitch for the sales, and when we get the sales, what happens up until you deliver the product. Now, here's the fascinating thing. It's not only about the delivery of the product. It's also about the after sale. it is much more easier to sell to the same customer than it is to go and search for a new customer. So you need the right kind of people that have got a cultural fit before we even talk about the skill set, because nowadays skill you can buy. Secondly, you've got to look at your processes. Process map them. If it's an automated process, make sure that the software that you're using is top of the range software, and that the support or the people that support you are always at hand to make sure that your processes don't falter and that your clients can get the service that they want. The third one is to get the right kind of client. Now, clients are fascinating because we've got A, B, C, and D clients. Now, a lot of people define this in a lot of different ways. I'm going to give you my way. Well, the bottom one is what I call the dog. Now, why do I call them the dog? Well, this is a customer that pays you the least amount of money and gives you the biggest problem. However, they have influence. Some of them have influence. You're going to take a lot of time working with them. They're going to irritate you. You're going to be unhappy with them. But these are the men and women who know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's a CEO in this company who can come and buy from your company. So we will have dogs in any business, in any client. We'll have the guys that pays you the least and that demands the most. And then my C, you've got your cash cows. Now, these are the people that gives you cash. And this is either the people that you pitch to or the people that come and buy your product or your services cash. They don't complain. They know what they want from you because they've seen or heard about your product, and they come in and they buy from you. Still, you've got to do this after sales service, because a lot of small businesses internationally and locally have a big challenge around after sales. And then you've got your B client. Now, your B client are these guys that it takes long to sell to, but eventually you make a very bold sale. I'm going to call it my bold clients. So these guys are the guys that are giving me big money, but the selling process is much longer than other people. Now, you've got to choose strategically where you want to focus your energy. I'm still going to go to your A client. Your bold clients are the guys that are going to give you a big deal. So now, like I said, some of these guys are very high maintenance. Some of them, you'll go to 20 meetings before they say yes. But here's the deal. Once this guy buys from you, or this business buys from you, they become a very powerful reference, because it's a big deal that they give you, and you can use them as a reference point, which a lot of entrepreneurs, by the way, fail to do. A lot of people sell to great customers, but they never say to the customer, please send us a testimonial letter about how we're serving you. Because most customers of most business, of course, the after sales service is something that to be desired for. And then I've got your A client. Now, your A client are your blue chip companies, Fortune 500 companies. Now, these are the kind of clients that it doesn't matter in the category that they fall in, but these are the clients that your business needs in your profile. I'll give an example. If you're an international company and you've done work for Google, it doesn't matter whether you've worked for them for 2 hours or 3 hours, but you've got in your profile that I've done business for Google. Suddenly people say, wow, man, this guy must be on top of his game. Either you've worked for Tesla, Virgin Active, Facebook, all these top multinational organizations that we admire, no matter how much little work you've done for them, because those guys are your A client. That's everybody aspires to become that, because those are billion-dollar businesses. So if you can serve a billion-dollar business, it means you can serve a smaller business even much more effective. So remember, your A are your big billion-dollar, the B is your bull, the C is your cash cow, and the D is your dog. The dog, like I'm saying, high maintenance, but these are people that have got great influence. So I'm going to take again to the Z factor. First, we start with the people, cultural fit. People must fit your culture. Secondly, processes. Either you're automated or you've process mapped entry and exit. Thirdly, clients. What kind of clients do you need in your business? Again, this has to do with strategic thinking. If you have a business, you cannot just become anything to everybody. Choose who you want to become to and focus on that number of people. Now comes the big one. Money. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know any business that says we are not in it for the money. All of us who are in it for the money, we might come with some very powerful philanthropic statements, or we are a profit-driven organization with a highly developed sense of social responsibility. But the truth is, we are all in it for the money. Now, you can have the right kind of people, driving the right kind of processes, sell to the right kind of clients. But here's the big thing. The big thing is money. Now, here the biggest challenge is your cost-to-income ratio. Your cost-to-income ratio. Now, this means how much does it cost you to get a client. Now, all these clients are going to cost you different amounts of money. And if in your processes you have not defined how you sell to each client, guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to be this company that's a big turnover company, but a negative profit company. Why? Because you have not really looked at your cost to income ratio. You have not looked at the cost of sale. You have not looked at the cost of your infrastructure. You have not looked at the cost of your people. You have not looked at the cost of your after sale. And a lot of people in business make a lot of turnover, but when it comes to profit, it becomes an issue. Now, one of the things that I found out, which was quite fascinating, now I'm going to use an example, a USA example. They say in America, there are about 30 million registered companies. 30 million registered companies. Now, it's a big number. I don't know about South Africa, I don't know about Kenya, I don't know about Nigeria, but this is a global example because we usually use the USA as a benchmark. Now, the fascinating thing is, out of this 30 million, they say 96% of this company, they make less than $1 million a year. 96%. So it's quite fascinating. So 30 million companies registered in the books in the USA. Less than 96% of these guys, they make less than $1 million. Now, in the South African context, we all know that out of every 10 businesses that get registered, probably 2 will survive in 5 years' time. And out of the 2 that survive in 5 years' time, 1 will become what's called a survival entrepreneur, make enough money to pay the bill, make enough money to pay your car, make enough money to pay your rent, and that's it. And the other one becomes truly successful. Now, unfortunately, in South Africa, and as in many African countries, a lot of entrepreneurs are dependent on doing business with the government, which is a big, big no. You cannot tell me that you're running a very powerful business while you're dependent on tenders. You've got to be able to play both the public space and the private space very successfully. Now, if 96% of these businesses make less than $1 million, it means 96% of a lot of businesses are just on survival mode. So people quit their jobs and they say, I want to become a businessman. They don't become business people, they become self-employed. And because they're self-employed, they work more hours than they did when they were employed, and they earn less than they did when they were employed. So it's kind of like a crazy thing. So you leave this job unprepared, you are driven by emotion, you don't have an exit plan, you do not have a strategy, you get into this thing called business, which you think is business, but it's self-employment, and then you become a slave to your processes because you have not clearly defined. So for all of you that are aspiring to get into business, or you're in business already, I'm challenging you to go back and look at your business. I'm challenging you to go and look at the Z factor. I want you to ask yourself, do I have the right kind of people? Are you the right kind of person to run that business, by the way? Because you might have a great idea, but you're not the person that's going to execute it. You need somebody else to do it on your behalf. You might be a creative person like I am. I'm very good at creating things. I'm very bad at managing things. I don't manage anything. I just create things and I build them, or I fix companies and I, get other people to run them for me. So you've got to ask yourself, am I the right kind of person? Do I have the right kind of people? Now, one of the fascinating things about this part of the Z factor is just because you are friends, you've been to university together, you've known each other for 10, 15 years, does not mean you'll become great business partners. Because there's nothing as said. It's a partnership that fails because of a clash of characters, not of the content of the business, and there's nothing is common. So ask yourself this question, am I the right kind of person? Do I have the right kind of people in my businesses? And secondly, processes. Are my processes clearly defined? And if your processes are clearly defined, you then have to use this Japanese concept called Kaizen. Kaizen means small continuous changes. What do I mean by that? If it takes you 6 days to produce something, can it take you 5.5 days? Can it take you 4 days? Can it take you 3.5 days? Can you do it in 24 hours? By the way, I've worked with a lot of small businesses in the townships and in the suburbs and all over the country and all over the continent. And one of the things that people are obsessed with is owning machines and factories. Once you take money and invest in machine and factory, you've got an asset, and that asset you've got to sweat it. You've got to insure the asset, you've got to make sure that it's in your balance sheet, you've got to make sure. So not all of us who manufacture, all of you manufacture, need to buy a machine. You might need to go and find a company that has the machines that you want, but that are operating at a certain level of capacity, and you buy the extra capacity so that you know that you are creating a product, but somebody else who's been in the business of manufacturing is doing the same thing. In South Africa, there's this obsession about black industrialists. Oh, we're going to create black industrialists. I've got bad news for you, my good ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take 20 years. That's what it's going to take, 20 years or even more. Because being an industrialist, it means you're a specialist in something. You produce something that the market wants, but you understand the sophistication of the machine, the process that involved, the route to market, and all these very tough, hard things. Because a lot of people do work in these companies. They do know what is done, but that does not necessarily mean they'll be business people. So I'm saying good luck. It's a very powerful vision, a powerful dream, but let's be honest about it. Let's not rush into things and give people money and they're going to fail. So your processes are very important. Again, your clients, look at your clients. Am I selling to the right kind of client? Now, here's one thing that I do, which a lot of people think is crazy. I do fire my clients. If I work with a client and I realize they are a dog, they want discount, but they've got no influence at all to take me to the next level, I tell them, listen, I'm doing what's called professional disengagement. I'm stopping to work with you. And I'll tell you the reasons why. Because all of us have got a reputation to protect. I've got a reputation that I've been building for 18 years. And I'm not willing to let go of my reputation for a small client who's a dog, who's going to negotiate me to the bone. They're not going to pay me on time. They're going to complain about anything and zap my energy out. Some clients, I look them in the face and say, it was nice meeting you. I wish you all the best, but we're not going to do business together. And now here's the thing. Steve Jobs once said, the same power that you find in the word yes, it's available in the word no. Say no to small things so that we can say yes to a much bigger thing. This is Billy Selekane, and this is part of our lessons around entrepreneurship on Global Conference Television. Please catch us again as I'll be getting into the public speaking side of things and sharing with you strategies on how you can become an amazing public speaker and therefore build a powerful brand that will represent your company in the market. See ya.